Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology? I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them, because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to Neo. Sunny Hostin had a complete breakdown on national television after Charlie Kirk delivered takedowns so intense that even the View's audience seemed confused about whether to applaud or dial 911. What started as a heated debate quickly unraveled into a one-sided disaster with Hostin's arguments collapsing like a flimsy wine glass from the dollar store. Kirk didn't just win, he dominated, leaving Hostin visibly rattled and grasping for any kind of response. This wasn't a discussion, it was a public dismantling. Her disgusting gross elitism and her complete out-of-fouch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny host goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated. What we did not have is white women who voted about 52% for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women is my understanding. You have Latino men actually voting more for him. And you have and black men was not the story, were not the story here, because they voted almost 80% for the vice president. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth. There are meltdowns, and then there are on-air implosions so raw and unfiltered, they practically beg for a documentary and a candlelight vigil. And Sunny Hostin's recent breakdown was definitely the latter. It was a spectacle of chaos, so perfectly disastrous, so effortlessly unrehearsed that it belongs in the Smithsonian under a plaque titled, When Talk Shows Go Wrong. Look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience, The View, would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last week. Now, to be fair, Sunny wasn't ambushed. There were no confrontational interviews, no surprise walk-ins, no shouting matches, just the echo of Charlie Kirk's digital sledgehammer ricocheting across the airwaves like a wrecking ball dipped in red. Bull and algorithm Juice 0319. He didn't even need to be in the same time zone. White privilege is a racist myth that is rooted in bigotry, trying to classify people based on their skin color. If you're a racist, you have something to apologize for. If you're a white person who is not a racist, you have nothing to apologize for. And anyone who makes you apologize just based on the color of your skin, they're the racist and you're not. It's that simple. This was modern media theatrics at its peak. Charlie Kirk unleashed a pre-packaged political grenade on his own platform. A flawlessly edited, overly dramatic video that went after Sunny host's entire ideology like it had borrowed money and skipped town. Facts were optional. Subtlety was nowhere in sight, and every box was ticked. Flashy infographics, exaggerated, slow zooms, and a background score drenched in righteous intensity. But this wasn't a critique. It was a full-blown demolition. Kirk didn't just aim for the jugular. He rewired the entire circulatory system and handed it back with a side of smug fry, and the internet devoured it. This Turning Point conference, we're in the front of turnout there, in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against the swastikas, against the sea flags that were waved. You let them in, president, open you let them in, and you knew what they were. So you were complicit. The clip spread faster than a fake Kardashian pregnancy, and within hours it was. Dominating Twitter, flooding timelines with headlines like Charlie Kirk ends daytime delusion and Sunny host, and hit with reality brick. Subreddits lit up, comment sections went wild, and reaction channels swarmed like vultures at an all-you-can-eat outrage buffet. Suddenly, The View, usually a stronghold of polished liberal comfort, felt like a cruise ship caught in a hurricane. The energy dipped. Everything seemed off balance. And Sonny Hostin, the composed commentator with a law degree and a reputation for resilience, began visibly unraveling. Let's be clear. She wasn't yelling or flipping furniture. This wasn't reality TV chaos. It was something far more devastating. The quiet breakdown of composure. The nervous gestures, forced smiles, and her struggle to hold on to that poised, authoritative presence told the real story. You could almost hear her inner panic. Am I getting ratioed live on national TV? Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk, likely in the comfort of wherever he records his fiery takes, was already celebrating with digital champagne. This wasn't about facts or fairness. It was about sheer dominance. And if humiliation needed a spokesperson, that single clip would have been its anthem with Sonny as its unwilling face. Because Charlie didn't just attack her arguments, he challenged the entire image she stood for. Educated, polished, media-trained, and supposedly untouchable. And the final point I'll say is this is Sonny. Do you guys thought that abortion was going to be this quasi-zealot religious issue? I'm pro-life. If people in the audience aren't, that's fine. What I'm saying, though, what gives me promise, and I think we can all agree on this, is that there are other issues that should animate and drive our politics other than this very divisive one. And I was really encouraged by that, Megan. Very encouraged, because the media was forcing this as an up or down vote on a referendum on a highly complicated, very emotional, very personal issue. And it turned out the American people are like, yeah, actually these other 6 things matter more and good for them. And that's exactly why he did it. It's a signature Kirk move. Treat public figures like Twitter handles. Strip away any nuance and roast them over the blazing fire of meme culture. He didn't need to be accurate, just louder, flashier, and 2 steps ahead in the digital battlefield. And in this case, he absolutely was. While Sonny was still catching up from her weekend brunch commentary, Kirk had already launched 6 viral video edits, flooded the internet with 1,000 fanboy reaction GIFs, and even dropped merch. Sonny's breakdown wasn't about losing a debate. It was about being flattened by a high-speed train of curated outrage. She thought she was navigating a light drizzle on daytime TV, only to realize Charlie had whipped up a full-blown media storm. Now, The View's producers are no strangers to drama. They've survived walkouts, cringeworthy interviews, and spontaneous on-air therapy disguised as hot topics. But this was something else entirely. This wasn't a debate. It never even reached that point. It was a full-scale narrative ambush, a digital invasion that blindsided the set. And those unblinking cameras, those ruthless little truth-tellers caught everything, the slight slump in posture, the darting glances toward the teleprompter like it might reveal a miracle. And the voice that once sharp and confident began to tremble like a Jenga tower on its final move. Welcome back. In Monday's A Conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me. And it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So my bad. I'm sorry. Okay. So, online, the wolves were already circling. Reaction videos from Kirk's digital army spliced Sunny's discomfort into endless loops, turning her struggle into content gold. Conservative blogs hailed it as a cultural triumph, a symbolic toppling of mainstream media. Even Gen Z TikTokers jumped in, remixing her facial expressions into dance memes with the fervor of digital piranhas. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk stood tall, glowing like a smug lighthouse, cutting through a fog of media confusion as his followers anointed the moment as proof that traditional broadcasting had finally buckled under the pressure of new age commentary. And honestly, they weren't completely off the mark. Because what Kirk understands and thrives on is that in today's post-fact content-driven political arena, logic takes a back seat. It's all about the optics, who looks composed, who ignites the strongest emotional reaction, who's got the better soundtrack, and poor Sunny, she never stood a chance. The moment that video hit the feed, the algorithms took a side, and it wasn't hers.